All right, we're recording. All righty, so let's bring it in.
We're not both in it.
No, we are in that one. Perfect. All right, so here we are.
Hey.
This is our first podcast, I guess, kind of?
Kind of.
Okay, cool. We'll give it a shot then. Let's see how it goes. Bob, you're joining us here on Quackback, right?
I'm here.
And you wanted to tell a story today, I guess.
I've got a little story to tell you.
Okay, well, we're here for stories.
Okay, ready? So I'm going to talk about where I was growing up as a young teen.
Troubled
maybe.
youth. Troubled youth.
Oh, definitely. Derelict, for sure. But growing up in Latham, New York, we lived right next to Siena College. And Siena College was a place that we attended after school. We'd go over. There was a penny candy store there. We'd go and buy penny candies, and we'd find something to do, whether we're having snowball fights with the college students or going to play basketball in the old Gibbons Hall. That was back when they were a Division III school. And, we'd stay and watch the games sometimes and do all kinds of crazy stuff at Siena College. But my story is going to be, well, let me give you some more information about Siena College. My first concert that I ever went to was the Vanilla Fudge, which they had a big hit called "You Keep Me Hanging On." I just saw them.
Oh, you guys know it.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
cool. Okay, come on.
And that was in the early, 1970, 71, something like that. And they would let us in because we were small and could get underneath the bleachers. And we'd go and get the girls' pocketbooks or whatever they dropped down underneath there, and they'd send us underneath, and we'd retrieve them, come out, and they let us stay in and watch the concerts. And they were good concerts. That one was. As a matter of fact, I just saw them on Jimmy Fallon, the Vanilla Fudge.
Oh, wow. Jimmy Fallon also from up here. Well, he came to school up here.
Yes, he did.
That's right.
St. Rose?
St. Rose.
And then another concert that we saw there was the Hollies. And the Hollies were here promoting their big hit, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother, who was, it was about, I think, the Vietnam War. I'm not really sure. And at the time, my brother Rick, my older brother Rick, to avoid the draft, because his draft number was ridiculously low, like number 1. If you drafted, you went in for 4 years. If you enlisted, you got 3. So he enlisted. He was all over the country training or what have you. He ended up in Germany. And I believe the next step would have been Vietnam, but they ended the war, thank God. Anyway, so here's where my story starts with Gibbons Hall and a guy by the name of George Carlin, who was a stand-up comedian. Some of you guys in your 40s might remember him as Mr. Conductor on Thomas the Tank Engine. Yeah. But prior to that, he was very famous, toured all over the place, very good comedian, and he was going to be at Siena College. So we knew where his dressing room was going to be. In Gibbons Hall, which is now called Foy Hall. If you go to Siena now, I believe it's Foy Hall, and it's a theater, a little theater. But at the time, it had a stage, but that's where the basketball team played. And so we knew where the dressing room was going to be. So we got this brilliant idea that we were going to sneak in early in the afternoon, go in the dressing room, which was filled with lockers. And they had these big steel lockers with sliding doors. Not all of them. They had regular lockers for the teams. So we went in and we took 2 chairs and we put it in the steel locker, closed the doors, and I sat in one chair, Vince Soldani sat in the other, and Jim Horgan sat on the floor in between us. And there we sat for hours and hours. As a matter of fact, Tommy McDonald was with us, but he couldn't stay. But he kept coming back because he didn't want to go home yet or what. But like an hour later, he comes back. He's, hey, guys, you guys still in there? And we're like, yeah, we're here, we're here. Okay, we'll see you. So he leaves. Well, then, so we went in, I'm going to say it was like 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. About 5, 6 o'clock, the band that was on before him was a guy by the name of Kenny Rankin. He was a folky kind of acoustic guitar playing guy, and he had a couple hits. And so he's in there warming up, doing his vocal training, whatever you would call them, up and down, and tuning his guitars and playing it. And they're talking, and there's the news people were in there interviewing him, talking to him. Oh, by the way, the reason we were doing this is we were going to jump out on George Carlin, and he would think it was funny and let us in. So, back to Kenny Rankin. So Kenny Rankin's in there. He's tuning, playing the guitar, singing, what have you. And you could hear the Times Union, I believe, was in there interviewing him, in the Star or something newspaper. And actually, while we were sitting there, we heard somebody come in, a kid, and it was a kid that we knew. His name was Tommy Shields, and he was in there trying to get Kenny Rankin's autograph. We could tell by his voice. We knew it was him. And so he goes out. Well, there we are. And they're still warming up or what have you. And all of a sudden, this metal locker that we're sitting in starts rattling like you wouldn't believe. And what's going on? What's going on? The kid that was sitting on the floor, Jim Horgan, had a leg spasm. And he was moving that thing around like crazy. And we're sitting there like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, my side sliding door slides open. Now, I've been sitting in there dark for 4 hours. I can't see. And it blinded me. And I just closed the door back up. And it opened back up again. And it's this long-haired dude. And he's like, it's hair down here. He flings it back. He goes, yo, man, what the are you doing? Get out of here.
Hold on, do it again, Dad.
What? Yo, man, what the doing? Get the hell out of here. So we're like, okay. All right. So we filed on out of there. And, well, we didn't see George Carlin in the locker room. But, of course, the Sienna security, knowing us and thinking that would be a nice thing, they let us in anyway. So that's kind of the end of the story until... Now, back then, we didn't have laptop computers. Nobody did. And then probably, I don't know, I'm going to say 1990, maybe, 92, something like that. I've got a laptop computer here in the house. And I'm sitting down there and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I'm going to reach out to Kenny Rankin and see if he remembers. So I did up an email for him, sent it out to him. He sends me back a response. He says, oh, yeah, I remember. Exclamation point and a whole bunch of them. And that was the end of it. So that was my story about George Carlin and hanging out at Siena College. Was it boring? Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it?
You didn't like my story?
I liked it. I thought it was fine.
I think they'll like it. You want another one?
Sure.
I'll have to think of one.
This is a story about little Jimmy Cerny.
Little Jimmy Cerny. That was from Mark Durick, a friend of mine from high school. He used to tell him, he had his little friend like the little Jimmy Cerny. And he would blame everything that derelict things that he would do, touching girls or what have you. It wasn't him. It was little Jimmy Cerny. So I, of course, incorporated that into my raising my children and would beat them, and they'd blame it on
He wouldn't beat us.
No,
He wouldn't beat us.
Never. But I still blamed everything on little Jimmy Cerny.
Now it's Mrs. Day.
Mrs. Day. Mrs. Day does everything wrong. That's because of our granddaughter. So whenever anything's missing, in the wrong place, broken, messy, it was Mrs. Day.
Mrs. Day came in the house.
Yep. With no one was around.
Sorry, Muriel. I apologize.
Let's see, some other stories. I got a good one. Kitty. Kitty, are you listening to us? Can I tell a story about the desert? Okay.
Desert.
Okay.
Mom, what's the desert story?
Let's see. What's another good story?
Why don't you tell us the story of the Super Bowl
With Uncle Fran?
and Uncle Glenn and Uncle Andy?
Not Uncle Andy.
I thought Andy was there.
No. Well, okay. Then we'll have to find out when that is. 2005.
What are the numbers?
I have no idea. XXX 40.
That's 39.
39. Super Bowl's 39. Okay. So here's my story about Super Bowl 39. It was February 6, 2005. My brother Glenn had a home in Amelia Island, Florida, and we had decided we were going to try to get tickets for the Jacksonville 2005 Super Bowl. Fran was going to go with us, and so we had made arrangements to fly down there. We're going to stay in Amelia Island and grab some tickets if we could. And Fran, his insurance guy, lived in Jacksonville. He had a boat, and he arranged for him, myself, and Glenn to meet up out on 1A, A1A, Route A1A and 1. We were going to get on this boat and go down the river, whatever river it is that goes down into Jacksonville. So we met up with him. He had coolers full of beer, food, all kinds of stuff to eat. And I think there was him, another guy, and us three, and we're going down the river. Going down the river, we went through probably, I think, 3 police stops. They didn't just want anybody going up next to the stadium or what have you, but they didn't bother us. They, asked us questions and let us go. And we get down there, and we're right by the stadium, and there's got to be 100,000 people there at the day before pre-game festivities, and they had all kinds of bands and stuff like that playing, and we're out in this boat going around this little bay, and Glenn and I decided, hey, we'd rather be in there than out on the boat with you guys. Don't take it personally, but, we'd rather be in there. And he said, oh, okay. So we said, hey, Fran, why don't you see if he'll drop us off, just for a little while, go get a beer or something like that.
A little bit.
And Fran says, yeah, sure, okay. So he says, all right, yeah, well, I'll drop you off. So he brings us right up to, there's like a dock there, and we jumped off, and off he went out into the water. And we could see him out there just hanging out, and cops are all out there in their boats and stuff. And there were other boats, too. And we went up, and we got a couple beers, and we're hanging out, and there's all kinds of games to be played and stuff like that. It was a zoo. And as time went on, now we're feeling guilty, and we're like, all right. So we'll call them up and, hey, come on in and get us. They wouldn't let them come in. So there we were, and with 100,000 people, and we're like, all right, well, thank you. And off he went back down the river, and there we stayed. And I think Eddie Money was there. Another girl, I can't think of what her name, famous country girl was singing, and Eddie Money, and then
Jessica Simpson.
No, it wasn't Jessica Simpson. It wasn't that big. Anyway, so we're drinking and having a good time and wandering around, and it was kind of chilly. So I went to go to use one of the porta-johns, and I found one of those space heaters with the, with the stack.
Oh, yeah.
And so the hell, I started right up. I'm like, oh. So I wheeled it down to where Fran and Glenn were, and started up, and there we stood. Well, people are walking by, and they're all sticking their hands in, and no, you're not a friend. You can't come in. But if you were a friend, if you had a beer for us, you'd come in. You could stay in our heated area, but if you weren't, it wasn't just an arbitrary thing. You can't just walk in and be our friend. You had to be in the circle of friends. And we went all night doing this. And they were bringing us drinks and stuff like that. So we get wasted. And
nothing good comes from alcohol.
Nothing good comes from alcohol. So now we're like venturing out of this area. It's got to be 3:00 in the morning now. And we go to a bar. And in the bar was just a bunch of drunks. It wasn't packed. There was still people all over the place, but the bar wasn't packed. And we're in there drinking. And I don't know what the hell possessed me, but I bought a round for the bar.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah. And it was Meisters. What are they?
Jägermeister?
Jägermeisters.
Oh, disgusting.
And it was. That's what everybody wanted. So I bought everybody a Jägermeister. Put it on the card. Then that's
a future Bob problem.
Yeah. So now we're gonna now we're done. We got to get out of there. So we have no idea how to get back to Glenn's car, which is on A1A somewhere. And I call a taxi. And the taxi goes, dude, look outside. Where are you? And I told him what bar we're at. And he goes, look outside the door. Do you see a lot of people? Yeah. How are we going to know it's you?
This is before Uber when we tell you exactly who it was.
Yeah, there was no Uber then. It's the taxi. And he goes, look just walk out the door, turn left, go down, stand on that street corner and raise your hand. Someone will come along and give you a ride. Well, we wandered on down there, and sure enough, we put our hand up. The first big SUV pulls up, window goes down. He goes, where you going? A1A and 1. $60. Okay, sounds good. So we jump in the car. This guy could have killed us. It didn't matter. We actually were trying to talk him into stopping and getting us more beer, but I believe all the places were closed that he was looking at. So he takes us out there, and we get there, and now there's no way any one of us can drive. So we're like, well, what the hell are we going to do? Well, we'll have to sit in the car, but we'll take the keys and we'll put them over there in back of the tree. So that's what we did. And we sat there, and sun came up. We woke up and were able to drive back to Glenn's place and went back to bed, I believe. I don't really remember. But when we did wake up, got showered up and were ready to go down and see if we were going to possibly buy some tickets, we're like, nah, we're not doing this.
Once is enough.
So we went and watched the game in a bar and had a good time, and that's my story.
Probably saved even more money going to a bar.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't buying around again, that's for sure.
No, you learned your lesson, huh, the first time.
Yes, I did.
Tell us your 3-on-3 basketball story.
3-on-3. Oh, when I won the championship? Well,
go get
let's
it.
See.
Go get it. Take off your headphones.
Okay. This is 2002.
The year 2002.
My brother Andy and I had been in a couple 3-on-3 tournaments. They were a big thing back then. They were actually a corporation of a company that went out and had 3-on-3 tournaments all over the country. And if you'd won, like the Boston one or the New York one or Seattle one, you'd eventually get down to they had 3-on-3 and it'd be on TV. Obviously, this one was not one like that, but it was a local one up in Clifton Park.
Hoop X
was the name of it. And so Andy and I got together with 2 other guys that were going to play. You had four guys, you had 1 sub. And I can't remember how many teams there were, but quite a few of them. And so we did okay. We made it through into the final rounds. And I think we probably end up playing 10, 12 games, I'm thinking. And we finally got into the championship game. By that time, we were so tired. Oh, we didn't have a 4th. He didn't show. So it was just the 3 of us, and we had to play every game.
Who's your 3rd, Jimmy?
No, I can't even tell you his name. It was a friend of Andy's. No idea. So So we are in the finals, and doesn't it go to overtime? And both teams were exhausted. You could just tell, and everybody just throwing up anything and really didn't care. We were going to get a trophy or something anyway, if you got second place. As it turned out, we ended up winning it. And so at that year, I believe, we went to Australia.
We did.
So this was in June. So maybe later on in the year, we was when we went to
November.
November. Yeah. So we went to Australia, and I took my plaque with me to Australia and took it. Every picture that we took, not every picture, but
There's a lot of pictures.
A lot of pictures from Australia, and this had to be in it somewhere, to the point where some of the people in the area wouldn't let me put this in. You remember that?
Yeah.
They'd be like, "What's that?" "Oh, it's just a plaque." "No, get it out of the picture. It can't be in there." We were on like a group tour of something, and they wouldn't let us. But then it ended up one of you guys went up in the bus.
Yep.
It was in the window.
Yep. Put it in the trees.
Yeah,
too.
put it in the trees. Put it everywhere we could go. Parties that I went to, family parties. The trophy came.
My favorite picture is Dana and Ricky fawning over your photo of it.
We have.
We'll have that right here. It'll be right here. We'll post it.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and that was my it's the only 3-on-3 tournament that we won. I've won a lot of basketball.
35 and over.
35 and over. Well, I'm in an over 50 league now.
It's not over 50. Isn't it over 60?
No, it's over 50, but there's 2 divisions, and I'm in the well over 60.
The golden years.
But we're in first place, and if you win the division, if you win the year, you get a jacket. And since I was 50, I've won 8 of them.
Bob is the least fun player to play with.
I was just talking to my captain after this game, and I said, "You know what? You like playing with me, but you don't like me. The other teams hate playing against me."
Yeah, he's
It's all win. It has to be a win. Everybody has a role, and everybody's to do that.
Can you imagine being a 72-year-old man, frail, and then just, "Hi, Avery." Can you imagine just being that old and just getting screamed at in a basketball league? You're 75, right?
There's no 75-year-olds.
And you're getting screamed at by this guy for missing a pass, for not hustling enough because your arthritic knees gave out.
That's what I do.
Every time.
Every time. I did it today. We won.
At what cost, though?
We're in first place.
But what's the cost?
We're in first place, and this is gonna be my final year, and we're gonna win another championship.
Another one.
Well, it's all with different guys every year. It's not the same guys. There's a draft. There's 120 players in the league, Brendan.
Well, congratulations on being the most hated.
Yes, well.
Somebody has to be.
Somebody has to be.
It might as well be you.
And it's going to be.
Congratulations, Dan.
Yeah. Avery, you have any famous stories you want to talk about? Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story about how I taught Brendan how to rush the stage, which really can't do anymore, but we used to do it a lot. I've been to so many concerts that's what I always tried to do, get the best possible spot. I've actually been on the stage at SPAC and thrown. I think it was probably one of the first, what do you call those, when people glide across?
Crowd surf?
Crowd surf.
You heard it here first. Bob Quackenbush invented the crowd surf.
I didn't invent it. They might have invented it with me as a flyer, but it was Seals and Crofts, and I was on the stage, pretty much in one of the speakers, and the security came up and threw me off, and I landed on people. But anyway, so my wife Kitty was going. My wife was going to a concert at the Pepsi Arena in Albany, and it was going to be Hall and Oates.
I think it was the Knickerbocker at that time.
Might have been the Knickerbocker. And so we drove her down, Brendan and I, and they had the Thursday.
It's like the concert series.
The concert series, and it was going to be.
We were going to go to SPAC for something or some outdoor concert.
It was down there And it was Stacy's Mom's Got It Going On. What was that band?
Fountains of Wayne.
No.
Yeah, Fountains of
Okay,
Wayne.
was it?
Mm-hmm.
You want to check that?
Fountains of Wayne does Stacy's Mom.
Was that the concert?
Probably. It was a band similar to that.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. So
it
we
wasn't
went to
All
that.
American Rejects.
No. We saw them at
Northern Lights.
Northern Lights. Anyway, so we dropped Kitty off, and then we went down and parked, and we went up, and we were going to watch the Fountains of Wayne live free concert down in the plaza in Albany. And looking to the west was nasty.
Oh, it was a dark cloud.
There were dark clouds coming. I mean, it was going to be horrible. And I'm like, Brendan, why don't we just go back up and go into Hall & Oates? And I go, I got a plan. We didn't have tickets.
Well, actually, two things happened. He taught me not only how to rush a stage,
Well,
scalp tickets.
that's right. So we didn't have tickets. So we went up there and we were looking around for scalp tickets. So we scored 2, cheap, $10 a piece or something like that.
Guy got them for free. Dad was irate when he found out the guy got them for free.
But we paid for them.
Yeah.
And Brendan's like, oh, okay, let's go into it. No. You're going to learn how to scalp them now. Well, what do you mean? So there I stood with the 2 tickets, and up comes somebody else. Hey, you want to sell them? Sure. How much? $30. Okay. They gave us $30, and now we got $30. And but now we got to get more tickets. So we get 2 more, and I think we might have paid another $20.
Yeah.
And
all for $10
for
profit.
$10. It might. I don't know the fees. I don't remember, but it was a profit. And I'm like, well, now we can get a drink inside. So we went inside, and I don't know where our seats were, but we had no intentions on sitting there.
I did. I didn't know what
He
we
didn't
were
know.
doing.
So I said, okay, come on down to the floor. So we down on the floor, and I said, okay, look at Brendan. When the lights go down, follow me and don't stop.
Let me preface this because that did happen. But before that, we were looking for our seats, and you walked down to like where the lady was at the, and she said,
Right.
can I go get a beer? On the floor.
On the
and
floor.
the lady's like, yeah, sure. So you go get a beer and you're drinking it. And I was a pretty big rule guy back then. Like we didn't break rules ever.
Yeah.
So I was like, Dad, we got to go back to our seat. They said, go back to your seat. You're like, we're not going back to our seats, Brendan. And then I was like, what? Whoa, what? You're like, we're not going back to our seats. This is what we're going to do. And then you went into that story. It was when the lights turn off, follow me and don't stop.
Hold on to the back of me. Don't stop. So here they go. The lights dim. I shoot up the aisle straight for the stage. I get right up there. We're second, first,
And then we're like third row.
third
people
row standing. And that's
it's
where
20
we
for
right
Hall &
there.
Oates.
They were right there, and that's where we stood for the whole concert. To the point where I was texting Kitty, and I said, "Look to the right of Hall or something like that." And I'd be turned around waving to her, and she's waving back. I could see her all the way back in the back of the
Nosebleeds.
No, she wasn't in the nosebleed. She was in the back of the lower level.
That was with Earth, Wind and Fire, and Michael McDonald was there, wasn't he?
No, I had never seen Earth, Wind, and Fire until
We got
this
there
summer.
late for him. Whoever was playing with Hall & Oates, it was like, Soul Train. It was Soul Train and like Michael McDonald, and we got there late, so we only
We didn't see
saw
that.
Hall & Oates.
But they put on a good show.
They did, and we had the world's biggest Hall & Oates super fan at that show.
Kind of a weirdo.
The guy was probably 6'4".
Mm-hmm.
He was tall, very tall, gangly. He kind of looked like, and I don't know if you've ever or you recall the movie Big Fish.
Mm.
Kind of looked like the giant character from Big Fish, like with everything about him. And Pascal put a picture of that guy up right here, and that's literally what the guy looked like. And he had a big trench coat on,
Big trench coat. I remember that.
made it weird. His wife was next to him, and she had like an oxygen tank, like a wheel behind oxygen tank.
Big fans. They were big fans.
I don't know if she was, but he was. And I don't know how he brought it in, but about quarter of the way through the show, he pulls out a license plate that says Hall & Oates. And he's like showing it off and waving it and just going crazy with this Hall & Oates license plate. And then they start playing No Can Do. And what does he do? But on the other side, he pulls out another license plate that says No Can Do. So this guy went through 2 different license plates, at least, of Hall & Oates references.
It must have been long before they had metal detection for concerts.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, but he got them both in that trench coat.
He did, in that trench coat.
He was a weird dude.
Yeah, I mean, shout out him for being a big fan, but
he was.
He did weird me out a bit.
So that was Brendan learning how to scalp tickets,
buy scalp tickets, sell scalp tickets,
and rush the stage.
Yep.
Which you can't do anymore. Don't do it anymore.
No.
No rushing the stage. Now they'll put a hurt on you.
Yeah.
Try to anyway.
Yep.
Anyway, so that's my stories for tonight.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
That's right. Who's going to be your next guest, Brendan?
I think we're going to do John and Ryan. It'll be next week.
Well, that'd be interesting. All part of Quack Pack.
That's right. We got a hot ones coming up with John, too.
Oh, that should be interesting. Who's doing the questions?
Me.
Okay. Make them good. Make them hard.
Like math questions?
No, just make them think.
Math questions.
No math questions, unless you got a piece of paper and you work it out.
Should I make them all about the Wilderness War of 1777?
Yeah, you could. I don't think you'll be able to answer most of that.
Maybe.
I could answer some of them because I've read a lot of it because of the metal detecting, which I am the okayest metal detector.
World's okayest metal detectorist.
Thanks, Brandon.
That's what I didn't know. What a weird thing to be called, a metal detectorist.
Yeah, they're all over the world, though.
What else do you guys call yourselves? Dirt somethings?
Not me. Dirt. I'm just Bob.
Just Bob.
Just Bob. What about Bob? I can't wait to get back at metal detectors, matter of fact.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
Thanks, global warming, for making winter less, I guess, right?
I'll be looking forward to it. We got about a month and a half, 2 months.
Probably longer than that.
No. So, as long as the ground's thawed, I can dig.
It's too cold in March.
But I sweat.
So do I.
Climbing the mountains.
That's true. That's fair. Layer up.
Layer up. Look out for bears.
That's right.
All right. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah. Well,
thanks for having me.
That's our first episode, our inaugural podcast. Inaugural. That's a hard one to say.
I'll think of some other stuff.
That's good. He's excited, Pascal. Anyway, I'm Brendan.
I'm Bob.
And this is the Quack Pack Pod. Quack Pod. Quack
Pack.
Quack. Two
Bob.
2 in the quack is worth 1 in the bush.
Ooh, yes, I've heard that before.
There we go.
Thanks, man. It's been fun. Like Ringo Starr. Peace and love.
There we go.
Good job. I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah, we'll see how it comes out.
That'd be funny.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching today's video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to click that little bell to get notified whenever we post a video.